Okay, let's get straight into the drums. I'm going to solo all my drums, really easy to do because I've bussed them and color coded them, and simply I'm just going to click the kick, hat bass, clap bass and percussion bass. Quick listen. So, done the initial leveling, which everything is sitting in the right place. Now we are just going to start adding some processing. We're going to be doing processing on different elements in the drum mix, and then we're going to be really honing in to our references. So we're going to do some slight more leveling and just digging into the drums a little bit deeper. So let's start with the kick drum first. Right, let's just hear this in the mix of everything else. Just concentrate on the kick drum. I'm just going to now listen to the kick drum in comparison to the other tracks. So concentrating on just our kick drum and the reference tracks.
I can't help the way that
Okay, so initially I feel the leveling is okay with the kick. The kick actually sounds quite nice. It doesn't need too much processing, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to this. Some different options that may not necessarily be right on this track, but they might be right on your track. So let's get up our Neutron. So Neutron 3 is a transient designer from Isotope, and basically it is a multi-band transient shaper. Now, transient shaper is essentially a compressor. Instead of, it does like downwards and upwards compression. So compression like we did with the SSLG bus is downwards, but also a compressor can do upwards, and it's called expansion. And it is really handy for drums to really bring out the bite and attack and the transient in drums. Now essentially we have 3 bands: your high, your mid and your low band, and you can move the bands to fix what frequency you want to work on. I generally leave it as a default set like this. Essentially, if I just show you on here, each band is kind of correlating to frequency. So you see here to 200 is just the low frequency up to 200. From 200 to 6.2k for some 200 to about 6.2, that's your mid, and then you've got your highs. So what we can do, we can listen to parts of the kick and then sculpt it into how we want it to sound. So for instance, I'll just show you how the low sounds. That's just the low end, just the mid-range, and that's the high end. Now I feel for this kick, I want to kind of tame a bit of the mid-range. It feels just that I just want this kick to get a bit tighter. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull the sustain down on this band, the mid-range band. So I like that, something like that feels good. I'm going to bypass it. You feel how that really cleans up the kick. You're getting just a bit of mid-range. I don't know if it's muddiness around the 500k mark, but by just putting this on, really feels good. And now I'm going to add a bit more bite to this. So I'm going to select this band here, the high end range, and I'm just going to push up the sustain to get a bit of a click. I'll bypass this now. Okay, let's hear this in context. It's always good to hear it with everything else. I want to have just a simple part. I'm going to mute the effects, mute the vocals, synths, and just the bass. So we've just got the drums and the bass. there's a little bit of delay, but you can hear that it's really centering the kick and bringing it out of the mix just by a couple of tweaks. I'll let you hear again. I'll try this button this time. There you go. So that is just bringing my kick in a nicer position. It's I sometimes prefer using transient designing to EQs, just because it feels a little more musical and more natural. Sometimes an EQ can add too much low end or add too much mid range or high end, change the sound too much. With this, retains the original transient, the original kind of feeling of the sound, but just you're sculpting it in a different way. I'll show you something else that's really cool with this. If you feel your kick, like, because obviously this kick doesn't feel like it needs low, if you feel like your kick is lacking low end, you can add sustain to it here, to the low end. Now check this out. Sounds great. Really solid kick. You go from a completely lifeless kick to a really present, weighty, low end kick. Now let's just hear this in the mix. I don't feel like we need to add too much low end, but let's just hear it. You know what? I quite like it.